Hi everyone, this is Dr. Amina Aitsi-Selmi for another episode of Wise Wednesdays, and today I want to talk to you about why it's super important to take a step back if you're panicking whilst making decisions. So if you're looking for something in life, whatever it may be, a job, a house, relationship, you're going to be faced with several options. And that is great. However, the mind can start to overanalyze and get confused because our mind is designed to survive. Our brain has evolved in conditions that were about survival first. So it tries to prevent loss. Nobel Prize winning economist Daniel Kahneman talks about this a lot in his books and his research. We prioritize loss, aversion or prevention. We want to prevent loss before gain. We want to avoid pain before experiencing pleasure. So if you're trying to make a decision and you're starting to get anxious or panic, your brain, that mechanism of loss aversion is going to be amplified. Everything is going to be about avoiding the wrong decision. It's not going to be about experimenting. It's not going to be about being creative. It's not going to be about trial and error. It's going to be about being safe. And the more you try and force a decision, the more you're sending your brain a signal that there's urgency and therefore a survival imperative. Otherwise, why would it be urgent if it's not about survival? And the more you're choking yourself to make the right decision. And that is not going to feel good. And it's not going to help you. And it's not going to lead to something that is really in your best interest. It's going to lead to probably a decision that's okay. And that's the best case scenario. You make a decision and okay, maybe you find a job or you find something and it's kind of all right and fine. In the worst case scenario, it's going to lead to a nervous breakdown because you're going to fuel a sense of anxiety and more urgency and more anxiety, more confusion. And you're going to start to get used to that state and possibly intensify that state if you really have no checks and balances in place to step back and stop yourself and interrupt that mechanism. So if you're identifying with any of this and you're in a phase where you need to make decisions, as many of you probably are if you're listening to my videos, I strongly recommend and encourage you very much to take a step back and breathe and tell yourself that you are not in a survival situation. It may feel like it. You may have tons of reasons why you need to make a decision right now. However, try and take a break, a real break, where you allow for the possibility that yes, maybe this is not a survival situation. This is just life happening. This is just your life unfolding. And in fact, the uncertainty is filled with possibility and opportunities. Now, you can only see those possibilities and opportunities if you take that step back and relax and deactivate the anxiety and the survival thinking. Because survival thinking has three outcomes. You fight, you run, or you freeze. If you relax, you deactivate the survival and you relax and you tell yourself, it's okay, I have time to tap into my higher cognitive faculties of creative problem solving and future thinking and imagining, then you're going to be able to see more possibilities, right? So not only will you feel better, even if at the beginning you feel a bit scared because you think, oh no, I'm not working on my decision making, something's going to go wrong. So it might feel a bit strange at the beginning, but let's say you manage to get through that initial discomfort and take a step back and you realize, okay, I'm still alive, nothing's gone particularly wrong. You will start to see more possibilities, and that will lead you to ultimately a better option. Now, as an example, I, a few years ago, was in a lot of turmoil around my career path. And it felt like I had to make a decision now, time was running out, etc., etc. I couldn't find any sensible path that I could follow with conviction, and it was just fueling that anxiety. Now, at that point, I had already, the summer of that year, I had already booked a trip to Alaska, as some of you may know. And you'd think, well, why go to Alaska? You need to make some career decisions. This is serious life stuff. Why are you going off to Alaska in the middle of nowhere? And there was a work-related reason, which was going to a conference and presenting my research. However, the bigger benefit came from being in the middle of nowhere and being completely disconnected from everything and having no stimulation, no noise, no background noise interfering with my intuition. And also contrasting that with real survival issues, because there were bears there were people who lived in the middle of the woods, detached from sort of civilization as we know it, surviving in their own way off the land and by trading or bartering. And they had to protect themselves from wildlife, and those are real survival issues. Yet they took a lot more risk in how they were managing their affairs and their careers and their work than we do. And that kind of different perspective helped me to shift. And it collapsed all of the superficial anxiety. It did away with the noise. And that helped me to tap into my deeper intuition and then make a decision that a few months before that would have seemed way too risky and just maybe not even an option. So theoretically and in practice, from my own experience, I know that it is hard. It is hard to be faced with a lot of choice and feel like you don't know what to do and don't know what to decide. But in that moment, even though it's counterintuitive because you feel like you're in a survival situation, that's the time to step back and pause and take a break and do something completely different. Go into nature, go on a break somewhere, speak to people who've got nothing to do with the decisions you're trying to make. Give your brain a different environment to be in, and that will help you move forward and make the best decision for you. All right, that's what I want to share with you today. If you want to read more about this, have a look at this week's Wise Wednesday article on the website www.dramina.com. Feel free to write to me with any insights, intuitions. I love to hear them, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.